In a quiet corner of America, surrounded by green hills and wooden fences, there was a boy named Ethan Parker. He was only 7 years old, but he had a heart bigger than most grown-ups. Ethan lived with his mom, dad, and baby sister in a small, white house with a blue front door. Life was simple, but not always easy. Ethan's dad worked long hours at the factory, and his mom stayed home to care for the kids. Money was tight. Sometimes Ethan noticed his parents skipping their own dinner, so he and his sister could eat more. But instead of feeling sorry for himself, Ethan felt lucky that he had a family, a roof over his head, a warm bed to sleep in. One crisp autumn morning, Ethan was walking to school when he saw an old man sitting on a bench by the bakery. The man's clothes were worn, his shoes had holes, and his eyes looked tired. Ethan had seen him before, always sitting quietly, sometimes talking to the birds. Most people just walked past him without saying a word. That day, Ethan did something different. He walked up, smiled, and said, "Good morning, sir. My name's Ethan." The man's face lit up. "Morning, young man. I'm Henry," he replied. In a soft, raspy voice, Ethan didn't know it, but that small greeting was the beginning of something big. Over the next few weeks, he stopped to talk to Mr. Henry every morning. He learned that Henry had once been a carpenter, building houses for other families. But when his wife got sick, he spent all his savings on her medical bills.
Ouch.
Passed away, Henry couldn't keep up with rent and eventually lost his home. One day, Ethan went home and asked his mom, "Why doesn't anyone help Mr. Henry? He's kind, and he didn't do anything wrong." His mom sighed. "Sometimes people forget that everyone has a story, Ethan. They see someone struggling and assume it's their fault." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Mr. Henry sleeping outside in the cold. The next morning, he made a decision. He grabbed his little piggy bank, emptied out the coins, and marched into the kitchen. "Mom," he said firmly, "I want to help Mr. Henry. Can we buy him breakfast?" His mom smiled, a little teary-eyed. They walked to the bakery, bought a warm sandwich and coffee, and brought it to Henry. "Thank you," Henry said, his voice breaking. "No one's done this for me in a long time." But Ethan didn't stop there. He came up with an idea. What if he could raise money to help Mr. Henry get back on his feet? He told his teacher, who loved the idea and shared it with the whole school. Soon, kids were bringing in spare change, and teachers were donating old coats and blankets. One of the parents suggested setting up a GoFundMe page. The goal was $500, enough for food, warm clothes, and maybe a motel room for the winter. But something unexpected happened. A local news reporter heard about the little boy who wanted to help a homeless man and decided to cover the story. When the segment aired on TV, the donations poured in. People from all over the country were moved by Ethan's compassion. Within 2 weeks, the fundraiser had over $20,000. With the money, Henry was able to rent a small apartment, buy furniture, and get new tools to start working again. The town came together to give him small carpentry jobs, fixing fences, building shelves, repairing doors. For the first time in years, Henry had a steady income. One afternoon, Henry visited Ethan's school to say thank you. Standing in front of the class, he said, "This boy reminded me that kindness still exists. I was invisible for so long, but Ethan saw me, and that changed everything." Ethan didn't think he'd done anything special. "I just wanted to help," he said with a shy smile. But to Henry, and to the thousands of people who had read his story, it was much more than that. Months later, the town held a community event to celebrate acts of kindness. Ethan was given a medal by the mayor, but he handed it straight. "To Henry, this belongs to you," he said. "You taught me that even if someone falls, they can get back up." The story went viral online. Big news networks picked it up. People from different countries wrote letters to Ethan, telling him how his kindness inspired them to help others in their own communities. Some donated to local shelters, others started small food drives, all because of one little boy in a small American town. When asked what he had learned, Ethan said, "Kindness is like a snowball. If you throw it gently, it keeps rolling and gets bigger. Before you know it, it's too big to stop." Henry now works part-time at a furniture store. And every Sunday, he and Ethan volunteer together at a soup kitchen. They have a tradition after serving food. They sit outside with hot chocolate and talk about life. Ethan's parents say they're proud of their son. Can change the world. Sometimes all it takes is one small hello. Moral of the story, you're never too small to make a difference. Kindness costs nothing but can mean everything.